allocated lease to individual families who pay a below market rate for that. I mean, seriously below market rate, so that the rest of the tribe doesn't benefit fully from the land we could, as if we were leasing the grass to anybody or highest bidder. But because we have tribal council members or family of tribal council members who have these lease units, I don't want to hurt my family. I can't vote to raise the unit. You know, I can't vote to raise lease units because that's going to hurt, you know, my uncle. It's going to hurt my son, my daughter. So the lease rates stay flat, and we don't get the true value of our land that could benefit all. It's these 260 families who are fortunate enough to have these lease units that have enjoy basically a better standard of living than everybody else on the reservation.
That's like a handicap inside what would normally be a normal land market. It's crazy.
Right, and they get they get a subsidy from us, and then the low lease rate that they have to pay. You know, we're subsidizing their lifestyle, which is better than community people's. Like in my community of Swiftburg, you know, the poverty is stunning, and it's generational. You know, this is something that, given the other social ills we are faced with and are combating, you know, substance abuse, domestic violence, it's impossible to break the cycle. Impossible. You're not given a chance to. We're not given the resources to, because we're not fully utilizing the resources that we have.
I'm trying to think of a metaphor in my mind, and all I can think of is trying to ice skate uphill.
Exactly, that's a very good metaphor too. And then you can drag out a lot of old cliches that are applicable to this. It's something we need. We seriously need reform on Cheyenne River if we are going to benefit as many people as possible from what resources we have. The system that we have in place now is wrong.
All right, next question here. Oh yeah, what about medical care on the reservations, or lack thereof? Or I'm interested in the bureaucratic nightmare. You know, can you walk me through?
Well, fortunately, it's easy to rank them on a scale. It goes from atrocious to non-existent. That's healthcare on the reservations. Hours wait when you're there for emergency services. Months wait for needed appointments and referrals. Emergency room care.
Wait, you said months for referrals?
Yes. Months.
Yeah.
Well, most things that you could get, your body would cure it by the time, you know.
Right.
By the time you get your referral,
Or
it's
kill
crazy.
you.
Or you're dead, yeah.
Or you're dead.
They made me wait 3 months for an appointment for a health issue that I had back in March.
The Indian Health Service is underfunded, understaffed. I know some employees who do their very best given difficult circumstances. I know dedicated doctors and nurses that cope to provide as good a care as they can given circumstances. But you can't get past the lack of funding, and you can't get past the paternalism. They are not allowed to dispense narcotic medication in our emergency room. We found that out the hard way. When my daughter went through a reconstructive knee surgery, she went up there on a Sunday because she had run out, and we assumed that she would be able to get more narcotic medication because she just went through major reconstructive knee surgery. And they told us she'd have to come back the next day and get it prescribed through clinic. That because of the recent war on opiate addiction, that we were some of the victims of that, and that we were denied needed pain medicine. You know, because they're trying to keep it out of the hands of whatever, junkies or whoever's abusing prescription medication, instead of giving it to people who really need it. And those are just some examples. I mean, people have to fight for referrals. People have to fight for surgeries and procedures. And it's just, it's system-wide. It's just, and it's sad in a way because healthcare is something we look at as a treaty obligation because we were promised that.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question. I mean, was it, you know, part of the, you know, agreement if you were going to, quote unquote, be domiciled here? The domiciling here is a separate issue. Oh, okay.
The healthcare was promised in the original treaties that created, like, what they call the Great Sioux Nation.
Okay.
You know, Lakota Tamakoche, Lakota Country.
And just like every other treaty, it's never been fully honored by the U.S. government.
Well, a lot of the provisions were only for 20 years. You know, what's carried on since then is the needed malevolent paternalism of the federal government, so that we didn't slip into starvation and epidemics and things of that nature. Because, if you broke it, you bought it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the federal government's position is with us, And what we need to do is get about the business of repairing ourselves, so we'll take care of ourselves. It's all about self-sufficiency, ultimately, in the end. All this that's happening here needs to start getting geared towards an indigenous revolution that is spiritual in nature for those that are of that way, but also a revolution of the mind and the body, where we need to recognize we're a sick people. Mental health is a serious crisis on reservations, it's a serious crisis on Cheyenne River. We need an indigenous revolution that addresses mental health to get us mentally healthy. That can start from this. We need an indigenous revolution of the spirit.
And by this you mean this great confluence of...
Ocheti Shakoli.
Yeah.
This camp, this little slice of freedom we got here, however long it lasts, we don't know. But right now we're a free people.
Like, what's the number up to now that of tribes and nations that have said that they're on board with this?
Around 200 of letters of support or something like
200
that. 200
letters.
Tribal Council resolutions, yeah.
Wow.
Backing the Standing Rocks.
And the historical precedents again?
Well, for the Ocheti Shakoli, for the Lakota Dakota people alone, unprecedented, and going back to 1876 when we amassed in Montana and the Battle of Greasy Grass.
And this is history.
Well, you have, and we talked about, and I think you even referred to it in the first video you posted, there are powwow gatherings where there's tens of thousands.
Right, yeah.
Gathering of Nations and United Tribes Technical.
Yeah.
They attract thousands of Indians, and you'll see
this is direct action people. Everybody here is willing. You can tell,
and they're spiritual warriors too.
Willing to do stuff.
A lot of the powwow people are colonized Christians. A lot of them, and you're not seeing a lot of Christianity here.
No.
No one's talking about, hey, let's put up a tipiwacha, anytime soon. Remember the church, tipiwacha.
Yeah.
And no, we're talking about setting up Lakota language schools. We're talking about setting up other things along those lines.
So usually when I interview people, I end by giving them the last word or asking, is there anything you want to add or something that you want the rest of the world to know about what you're doing here? So, have at it.
I've been in this camp 2 weeks now, and I have seen things and experienced things that I have not seen or experienced anywhere else in my life, and I'm not like Johnny Cash. I ain't been everywhere, man. I've been some places. And Johnny Cash is a hero of mine, by the way.
Oh yeah, me too. Oh yeah.
And the feelings that I have here, I never want to let go. I want to feel them every day. And I want to live this way. And I know a lot of other people express that desire. That what we've created here in this short amount of time is a beautiful community of like-minded people living freely, in mutual cooperation and in mutual aid to one another. That what human community used to be about. The successful ones, the peaceful ones, not the warlike ones, not the great civilizations, but the indigenous communities who lived in small communities. We had our own population control. We knew not to overpopulate. We didn't need somebody telling us. We didn't need a Planned Parenthood. We knew. That's why there weren't scads of us. We knew how to respect the resources that were available to us and maintain them. We weren't able to articulate that in a written expression or maybe even in a verbal way. It was just the way we were. We were a part of the land. All that is not cliche. All that is wowichaki, truth. We have captured a little bit of that here, and I believe we've done that with ancestral wisdom and guidance. By hearing these elders get on camp radio and remind us of teachings that are ancient, of having our warriors, the young, stand up in a way that is different from even the activism of the 70s and 80s. Because a lot of that activism that occurred back then wasn't truly spiritually based in the way that I'm seeing today.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the 70s and the 80s, you know, and I think it was the late 60s, but, you know, Native folks took Alcatraz for almost 2 years.
Right,
Occupied it, yeah.
Declared it federal. That was one of the first major actions.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
And you're saying that you're seeing more of a spiritual feel to this than...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have the keeper of the pipe here.
Huh.
You know, in previous actions, we didn't have the keeper of the pipe there. You know, we were having gatherings where there's 300, 400, 500 people praying at once. I haven't seen that before. Not in the way for our people out here in the middle of nowhere. You know, united behind one reason. You know, and that's defending Mother Earth, and that's what we're doing. We're Earth defenders, land defenders, water protectors. That's who we are out here. You know, this is drawing a literal, you know, line in the sand down there along the shore. You can't cross this without a fight. You know, and we've done it. That line was drawn. They tried crossing it once. We've stopped them once. They try crossing it again. We're going to try to stop them again. We may not be able to do it this time, but we're going to try. We're going to do it with whatever resources we have peacefully. If that means our young men and women do what they have to do, armed with sage again, then that's what that means. We have to stop this pipeline. This is a stand against the industry. This is a stand against American greed. This is a stand against environmental destruction. All this comes down to this place right now. This is the place to be if you care about that. The time is now. The talking is done. Those who prophesied it, those who predicted it, those who wished and prayed for it, it's here now. Come here. If you can't come here, lend your support. There's plenty of sites that I've seen, GoFundMe and along those lines, where you can donate. Or with social media, make contact with somebody who says I'm here. Get to know them, offer them assistance, learn their stories, spread their stories, share their stories. Get more people here in a good way who understand that this is a spiritual camp. And there are rules that do go here, small rules, you know, but rules that I can live with. I don't want any alcohol around here. I heard elders say, don't bring alcohol in here. You're bringing the enemy behind our lines. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You know, just such wisdom and well said. You know, this is a stand against everything that's been done to us. You know, there are people here for whatever their reasons are, you know, good reasons. And we could use more, we'd like more. Let's keep this going. These could be the seeds of change that normally would take, you know, decades, centuries to accomplish. These could be the seeds that help that to grow quicker. You know, and it couldn't come at a more urgent time where, you know, you see science ignored, your own science ignored. Your own scientists shouting alarms, and because of the politics and because of your system, you know, the planet's being, you know, destroyed for human habitation. The planet isn't being destroyed. It's being destroyed for human habitation, which some people I've heard suggest, and maybe they're right, is maybe a good thing, that we don't deserve this. And if we're gonna allow ourselves to continue to have policies controlled by these psychopaths, that's what Kira, you know, I love Kira when she says psychopaths in charge. That's who these men are. They're psychopaths. They don't care that they're living like the 1% lives and the 1/10 of 1% lives. They don't care what that means, that their grandchildren may not be able to breathe the air or drink the water. They're living for themselves at this moment. So maybe we don't deserve this. Maybe if enough of us don't rise up to defend the earth against this, you know, and finally put an end to it in a meaningful way, maybe we don't deserve it. And maybe those of us who are the defenders and are willing to sacrifice and live out here and fight the fight, maybe we need to accept that and make other plans. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. All I know is walking around here, you can feel it. You can feel the power of the community here. You can feel the spirit of the people. It's a tangible thing. It's nothing abstract. You feel it in your heart. You think it in your mind. It comes out of your mouth. You hear it in your ears. The songs, the prayers, the laughter, and the serious talk too. The serious talk that has to be done on fighting this pipeline and fighting other battles and staying united. The seeds are here. It's incredible to me. I think about it sometimes, Mike, and I get goosebumps of what can happen here. I lay in this lodge and I look up through the flaps of that teepee, and I really like doing it at night. You see the stars, and it gets your mind thinking. It gets my mind thinking of what can be, what should be. And we can do it. We really can do this. Just need to stay strong.